Hi everybody. So today we are doing 16.4, which is relate figures, fractions, and area. So we have different types of figures. They're talking about two-dimensional shapes. Fractions, which we know how to work with. You take a whole unit and you divide it into individual units. And we can work with unit fractions. And then area, which is what we're learning about this week. So how much space does something take up? So today we're going to put all three of those things together and figure out how we can name things in a shape. So our essential question, how can you divide figures, things like this, into parts with equal area and write the area as a unit fraction of the whole? So we're going to combine all those things together and learn how to write it and say it correctly. So we're going to start with an investigate. It says materials we're going to need. We're going to need pattern blocks. We're going to need colored pencils. I'm using a regular pencil for now. And then we're also going to need a ruler. I don't happen to have a ruler, so I'm just going to use a straight edge on my paper. So use what you know about combining and separating pattern blocks to explore the relationship between fractions and area. So we're going to start by tracing a hexagon pattern. If you would like to do this in your journal, you are more than welcome to do so. Try and get it as close as possible to being even. So I have a hexagon pattern. I am going to make sure it's on a line up here at the top. And then I am going to trace it because that's what it said to do. So I am tracing my hexagon pattern. So when I have it, pull it off, hey, I have a hexagon. B, divide your hexagon into two parts with equal areas. What new figures do you have? All right, well, I'm going to divide this in half. I'm thinking this is where the ruler would come in handy. I don't have a ruler, so I am going to use my best guess. You can use the side of a notepad. Oh, hey, I might have some. I have a notepad. So I'm going to divide this in half. This is just a little notepad. I'm going to place it where I want it. If you had a ruler, you could do this with a ruler so that I get a straight line. Okay. I have divided my hexagon into two equal parts. Two parts with equal area. I know they have equal area because they take up the same amount of space. So what do we call this figure? It's this figure. What figure is that? This is a trapezoid. A trapezoid. It is a quadrilateral, has four sides. Sorry, I said quadrilateral and that's what I started writing. But really, I need to write trapezoid. That is a trapezoid. Okay, so I have taken my figure and I've divided it into two equal pieces because that's how I get to do fractions. And they have the same equal area. Now I need to write the fraction name or write the fraction that names each part of the whole you divided. So I have one whole. It's divided into two pieces. So I have two pieces. Write the fraction that names each part. So each part, I would have one. This is one part. This is one part. That makes the each part. So each part is 1/2 of the whole figure's area. How are we feeling about that? Make sense? All right, let's keep going. Write the fraction that names the whole area. Ooh, okay. Well, look at this. How many pieces do I have in the whole area? I have 2. And if I want to name the whole area, I would say 2/2 equals a whole, right? So I have 1/2 is my unit fraction, and then 2/2 is my whole area. All right. So we can divide shapes into equal pieces that have equal area and then use fractions to describe the area. Let's do one more. Let's make some connections. It says the rectangle, this one right here, at the right is divided into 4 parts with equal area. 4 parts with equal area. Write the unit fraction that names each part of the divided whole. Okay, so if I'm going to do a unit fraction, I need to know how many parts I have in this rectangle. This is my rectangle. How many parts do I have? Well, I have the blue, the green, the purple, and the red. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. And if I just want to talk about one unit, that means I'm talking about 1/4 of my whole rectangle. So what is the area of each part? Well, we know that to find area, we can count our unit squares. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unit squares in the blue section, and we know that they're all equal, but let's count it to make sure. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units in the red, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units in the purple, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units in the green. So all of my pieces have the same area. They all have 5 square units. So how many equal shares does it take to make one whole? Okay, how many pieces do I have in my rectangle? I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different pieces. So since I have 4 pieces, it takes 4 shares, 4 equal shares to make one whole. So does each equal share of the whole have the same shape? Are all of my shapes up here the same? No, they are not, but they all have the same area. So how do we describe this? Is the area of each equal share the same? And explain how you know. Well, yes, we know the area is the same because they are all 5 square units. I did not spell that word right. Let me fix that real quick. I forgot the U. So we know that they all have the same area. They are all 5 square units, even though they're not the same shape. So is the area of each equal share the same? Yes, it is the same. I can count the unit squares to know that it's the same. So let's write that down because we're explaining how we know that they are the same. I can count 5 unit squares. I spelled it correctly this time. In each shape that makes up the makes up each part of the rectangle. Okay, so let's make sure I answer this question. Is the area of each equal share the same? Explain how you know. Yes, I can count 5 unit squares in each shape that makes up each part of the rectangle. This is how we're going to make our connections. We know how to do area now. We count our unit squares, or we multiply length times width. We know how to do fractions. We know that a unit fraction is 1 of however many pieces we have. We can put all of those things together to relate figures, fractions, and area. Go ahead on to the next slide and watch the next unit or next video lesson.